Greetings, listener. Welcome to Committee Quest.
Hello and welcome to Committee Quest, an actual play podcast using 5th edition D&D rules. I'm Stuart Watkinson, your host and Dungeon Master. In this episode, I will tell you a bit about myself, the world, the theme, and exactly what we will be doing in this podcast. First up, a little about me. I'm a high school history and media studies teacher, and I've recently moved to rural South Australia, which is part of the reason my friends and I started playing online. I grew up on hip-hop and video games, the fault of my brothers. They gave me a Beastie Boys CD when I was about 8. We also had an Apple IIe home computer. It had a black and green screen, and I spent an incredible amount of time on there. I love to travel and find peace in that adventure. Being on the road in a foreign or unfamiliar place makes me feel alive. About 3 years ago, I found D&D, and it's consumed me. I DM for Adventurers League, started a D&D club at the school I work for, write my own adventures, and run 2 campaigns set in a world I created, the same world that this game will be set in. Now, what is the world? On the continent of Parsi Verdun lies Amarin, the human state surrounded by monstrous, forested mountains and the wild ocean. 1,000 years ago, a group of humans fleeing persecution for long-forgotten reasons arrived on the shores of Amarin. Half-starved, blistered by the sun, and caked with drying salt, they believed that they had found salvation. On the horizon, they had seen settlements. They had thought they were coming to civilization, but what they found there were death and disease. Ancient elves had inhabited the land for millennia, but plague gripped them. Only the youngest of the elves were unaffected by it. They took the humans in and cared for them to health. Within a matter of months, all adult elves were dead, and the humans took it upon themselves to raise the young elves and rebuild their lives there. The leaders of this group of humans were named the Founding Five, and together with their god, Verd, they built Amarin into a strong nation. Our story takes place roughly 1100 years after the Founding Five arrived in Amarin. Amarin is now a powerful and respected nation on the continent, with strong trade relations to the north and the south, but to the west, to the wastes, there is no such trade. The only things that have come out of the wastes have been the beasts and barbarians attempting to raid and marauder. Until now, there have been many small and unorganized attacks, but now an army, the size of which has never been seen before, has crashed into the border. They have taken the Tawny Towers, 2 gigantic towers that serve as a defense at the base of the valley. The army now lies in wait at the border. Any attempt to parley has ended in death. No scouts have returned. The committee, the governing council in Amarin, seeks adventurers. There is much to do in preparation for war. The Committee Guild, a government-sanctioned adventuring association, is thriving with activity. Reconnaissance, trade, investigation, acquisition of magic items, alliance with neighbouring states. There has never been a better time to get rich, or die trying. We will meet our adventurers in Largshire, one of the smaller coastal cities of Amarin, in the following episodes. I've spent a lot of time building this world, its history, and its people. I could probably make a whole podcast just discussing it. In fact, I kind of like that idea. But a lot of the lore of this world will be explained as it is necessary. There is a map of Amarin that can be found on the website. The link is in the description, or just search Committee Quest on Facebook. As you may have noticed, there is a bit of a synthwave vibe happening with this podcast. My players and I like synthwave, and video games, and pop culture. And we like films, especially bad films. In fact, if it wasn't for bad films, we might not have created this podcast. We made it a regular event to get together and watch bad films, and films in general, from Samurai Cop to Commando, Surf Nazis Must Die to Star Wars. It didn't really matter, so long as it was science fiction, fantasy, 80s, retro, or really, really bad. This podcast will encompass all of those things. All the things we love. We will reference our favourite games, films, TV shows, and music. At the same time, a number of the adventures that the players go on will be based on our favourite films from the 80s and 90s. Monsters and NPCs will be modelled after characters and creatures from these films. Not all of them, but they will be noticeable. We're going to play D&D, but our love of retro films and culture will be making itself very present. I'm an active member of a number of RPG content creator groups, and I'll be showcasing some of their adventures, monsters, items, and various other creations. I will take those creations and mould them to fit the world we are playing in. There will be links to these products, as well as to reviews I've written on them. There are so many talented creators out there producing incredible adventures and supplements. I want to share them with the world. Thank you for listening today. I hope you've enjoyed and you're looking forward to meeting the players and their characters. Next week's episode will be our Session 0, to meet the players and their characters. But if that's not your style and you want to jump into the adventure, you'll need to wait. Or, if you're from the future, you can skip ahead. See you next time on Committee Quest.